Hello everyone, this is Boon Kian, a committee member of the This Buddhist Film Festival 2021. This is the first year that we are having this hybrid session with online movies as well as a face-to-face screening. So today we are having the question and answer session, a dialogue with the director of the film The Way Out. So with me here, I have Mr. Wouter Verhoeven, right? Want to say hi to the Singapore and Malaysia audience?
Dear friends, dear audience of this festival, I'm happy to share some time with you today. I'm happy to have this opportunity to have this conversation.
Right, thank you, Walter. So The Way Out is one of the film offerings at our festival this year. So it's a 1 hour movie and I happen to have watched it twice. So I'm actually quite interested to know what inspired you to tell the story of The Way Out.
It's quite a long story, but in 2012, I finished a film. It's called The Loving Heart. It was a film about poverty and potentials. And the essence of the film is that it was about how human beings relate to other human beings. But at that time, I really felt that my next film should be about our relation, not with each other, but with the earth, knowing what was going on. A year later, I started to work with Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh and the Plum Village community. And through the years, that feeling of making a film about our relation with the earth was cultivated and kept in my heart. And then there was an opportunity to film a retreat in Plum Village. Plum Village is a monastery in the south of France where more than 500 young people gathered in a retreat, in a summer retreat. It's called the Wake Up Earth Retreat. Yes, Wake Up Earth Retreat. So that was the initial starting point of this film. When I went with the idea of the film to the Dutch television, they said, instead of only recording young people gathering together in the south of France in a retreat, it is maybe more interesting to see what happens with those young people after a retreat, because it's very, very easy to be peaceful and be calm and be nice together and with the earth in a retreat environment. But once you get outside of a retreat, what will you do with the practice of mindfulness at home? So that was the invitation from Dutch television, and that's why we focused in the film. We have recordings from Plum Village, but also we follow two protagonists. So yeah, it's coming back to your question. I have a lot of preoccupation about our delicate relation with the earth, and The Way Out is my first film about this theme.
Right, thank you, Walter. So, just by looking at the film name The Way Out, I think it may interest people at the film festival, like, would this be a movie to give me solutions? Is this a movie I will choose to get answers to certain things? So my next question would be, how do you decide to name the film The Way Out?
Yes, Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, he wrote several books about our relation with the earth. And he made also a beautiful calligraphy. And the calligraphy is said, the way out is in. So in every challenge that we have as an individual, but also as a humanity as a whole, our tendency is to look outside for solutions. So we have a problem or a challenge, and we look outside to solve the problem. Now with the climate, we think, oh, we use the wrong kind of energy. So we have to replace the energy. So every kind of solution that we think of is outside. But this very wise Zen master with wisdom coming from ages ago, he says the way out is in. So when you have a challenge, go back to yourself, go inside yourself, and look inside, look in your mind first before you do anything outside. So the way out is actually the first three words of the way out is in. And the film, when people watch it, they may come to the conclusion that they have to go inside themselves too.
Yeah, just now when you mentioned the whole idea about featuring relationships, firstly between human beings, and next the relationship between human beings and the environment. I guess us as sentient beings, we would really want to know what is the way out, and it's really enlightening to during the film, right, to see certain quotes being mentioned by the venerables. And I hope the viewers who get to watch it in the cinema will get an element of enlightenment when they see the whole context and how the way in may actually be the way out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we won't talk too much about details of the film. We won't, spoil the film for people who has not watched it. But generally, you already mentioned that there was a protagonist, in the film. So my question next would be, how do you decide to have the narrative, right, being told through the lives of this Brazilian banker called Leonardo and the British activist called Eddie?
Yeah, as I already shared, of course, film is always about, and documentaries and fiction film also is, you have heroes or heroines, male or female, coming, being in the life, having a challenge and overcoming that challenge. And in Plum Village, during that retreat, I already knew Eddie, the activist. And during that retreat, I met Leonardo, the banker. And actually, I started to film. I really filmed three protagonists, two men and one woman. But the recordings I had of the woman recorded in Vienna at her home. In Plum Village, she was very emotional. It's very important for a protagonist to open the heart. Filmmaking for me is like a Dharma sharing. While in Dharma sharing, you keep what you share inside a circle. But in filmmaking, it's the closer that you come to the minds and hearts of the protagonist, the better. And both Eddie and Leonardo were very open and accessible. And at the same time, they are from two extremes. You could say a climate activist and a banker. From your first observation, you would say that they were opposites, but both are very inspired by the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh, which is giving us the middle way. So these two extremes to come together, and in the film, you can see that both in a different way are very much inspired by the teachings, and in their personal challenges, they face the banker in his banking life and work life in London, and the activist in his activist life in the north of the UK. The teachings are very helpful, and they find for themselves at least a way out of their challenges. So the way out is very you can sense it in the film.
Yeah, so as I watched the film, I felt that, okay, one character was more relatable to me or more people. The other was less relatable. But nonetheless, regardless of whether they are more relatable to you or not, I like how the whole film evolved to answer the whole title of the film, The Way Out. What does it, how does the way out is understood by these two characters? So what do you hope that the audience will take away from watching this film?
Um, yeah, as we just talked about the two characters, often, the or let me say it this way. I quote, and I give another quote by Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. He says, "We are here to wake up to the illusion of our separateness. As human beings, your name is Chan Boon Kian. My name is Wouter Verhoeven. So we think, oh, I'm Wouter. I'm a separate cell. So this is Wouter, this is me, and that's it. Chan Boon Kian is someone else far away in Singapore. And we are both human beings, but we are not really related. In the world of today, there's a lot of competition between countries, between continents, between individuals, within family. We compete and compete and compete. And in that competition, we destroy a lot. We create a lot of suffering. And Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh says, we are here to wake up to the illusion of our separateness. So if you come back to yourself and do some meditation and be silent and look at the reality as it really is, I can see that in my veins, in my body, I find my mother, my grandparents, my ancestors. I delivered a package by DHL yesterday. It had to fly to Peru. So the DHL company and the deliverer is in my life, but also the sun, the moon, the sea. If I look at life, or in every molecule that I have in my, there is no separateness. I myself am community. So seeing that I'm not a separate self, I will change everything I do. I will have more reverence for people, for nature, for the environment, because I know that I am part of it. I am part of a bigger system. I don't have to compete with that system, with everything that is sustaining me, that brought me forward. I can be grateful for all the conditions of my life. And that is when Thich Nhat Hanh says, we are here to wake up to the illusion. It's an illusion that I'm separate, but I'm not. And that is the major thing. So it's an illusion also for Eddie to think, oh, there's an other side. That's my enemy. There is no enemy. For Leonardo, in his I won't spoil it too much, but he can think, oh, my goal in life and in my working life is that. But he was separated from his body. He didn't listen to his body. So there is a separation. And that separation always creates a lot of suffering. And the invitation is to come back to ourselves, to open your mind, as says your logo behind you, open your mind. Open your mind and see that we are not separate selves. We are all earthlings, dependent beings, we are with each other. And if we really wake up to that reality, we will think differently, speak differently, feel differently, and act differently. So I hope that people get a little bit of that insight, of that enlightenment, of the interbeing of everything in life, and that the audience in Singapore and in Malaysia and maybe further in Asia will get that seed of enlightenment through this film.
That's a really well answered response to what do you hope the audience can take away from the film. And there are so many nuggets of wisdom through the film, whether is it delivered through Eddie, Leonardo, or some of the venerables. I think one of the most memorable quotes for me was in response to Eddie. I think one of the venerables said, "Don't make a front, make a circle." Yeah, so that was an aha moment for me, which I thought was really useful. Mm-hmm. So earlier I mentioned that I watched the film twice, and one was before the pandemic, COVID, and one was after. And I mean, to me, I thought that, after the pandemic, when I watched it again, it really felt different. Maybe people across the world are going through a lot inside, social, emotionally. And I mean, it was really worth watching a second time for me and have a different set of reflections. So right now, then I pose the same question to you. So pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, if you have viewed the movie, how different do you feel about the movie?
Yeah, I started to work on the movie in 2016. That was the first recordings in Plum Village, in one of the retreats. So I have been living with the film for a long time. In preparation for this dialogue, in this interview, I watched it again a couple of days ago. And for me, the wisdom is eternal. So the challenges are very universal, and the wisdom is there. But I didn't feel a lot of a big change in the context of the pandemic that we have been living through and are still living with. The pandemic is a real challenge, and shows again that everything is interrelated, and we are all interrelated. And ironically, in that interrelatedness, we have to keep distance, and we have to create the separation, often an artificial separation, because it doesn't feel good. So even in the pandemic, even in the first months, everyone noticed, oh, if I cannot go out freely, I miss nature, I miss contact with nature. If I cannot embrace my loved ones, I miss that contact. So it's very natural that we are interrelating and connecting. We are, as I said before, we are community. So that community has to be nourished. And I think it will be a killing for each one of us if we would have to live in a plastic box all the time, without fresh air, without space and possibilities to go out and to relate, to see each other in the eye, and to see that you are me and I am you, and that tree is my friend as well, and the clouds are give me rain, and the sun gives me vitamins, etc., etc. But no, I didn't feel a big difference. That the film is well made, is beautiful made, and I say that to give compliments to my editor, because I shot it, but I worked with an editor, Theo Raben, who did a beautiful, great job putting, because the film is like made in a way that it's really a flow of scenes going from one to another, and he did a beautiful job. So I enjoyed the film myself a couple of days ago.
So in your response just now, you mentioned about the role of a community and how it can, nourish the members of the community. In the film, I think the most distinct community featured is one of the communities featured is the Plum Village community, which there were footage of Eddie and some of them during the retreat. So my next question will be about the Plum Village community and what was it like working, on film projects with this community from the Plum Village?
I have been working with the Plum Village and with Thich Nhat Hanh and his community, Plum Village community, since 2013. Actually, this August, it's 8 years ago that I started working with them. I made 6 films. 6 films are finished, based on the wisdom of Thich Nhat Hanh and the Plum Village community, and 4 more are in production. But yeah, just going back to that Wake Up Earth retreat and being there in August, coming together with 500-600 young people, living in a simple way, related to the woods, to the fields, to nature. There's a happy farm at Plum Village, so there is a biological farm, ecological farm, and so the retreatants work there. They meditate twice a day. They have a whole program, of course, with mindful walking, mindful sitting, mindful eating. It's a training in mindful living, in living a mindful life. It's not just sitting and meditating. As you know, the mindfulness of Thich Nhat Hanh is engaged mindfulness. You can be mindful in every act of life. If you drive your car, you can be mindful. If you do wash your dishes, you can be mindful. But also, if you are an activist, you can be mindful. And if you are a banker, you can be mindful. Whatever you do, wherever you are in life, you can be mindful. And but seeing 500-600 young people being mindful and living mindfully together, respecting each other, respecting the earth, really, and opening up the whole, because once you live mindfully, you go inside. And inside you find all kinds of things that we receive from our parents, from our ancestors. Everyone has emotions and pains, suffering inside that is unresolved. And it's very, very important. That's again why the film is called The Way Out. From the way out is in. Once we heal ourselves, heal the wounds inside ourselves, in a safe environment, like in a Plum Village community retreat, we at the same time are healing the earth, because we are part of the earth. We are the earth. So healing ourselves is healing the earth. And seeing that, it's very beautiful. It's very touching. Going to Plum Village in summer in a wake-up retreat is seeing that paradise is possible, seeing that peace is possible, seeing that harmony is possible, and seeing that we can live in harmony on this earth all together. Mixed colors, mixed races, mixed heights. Everybody is part of that big community and working together. They are doing cooking, they are doing washing the dishes. And yes, paradise is possible when you engage with yourself, with your inner world.
I think after your description, I think many of us in Singapore, Buddhists or not, we would like to go to Plum Village for have a retreat experience. So while this is out of the question for now, maybe we need to rely on your films to experience the Plum Village, experience. Do you have any upcoming film projects with Plum Village that we can look forward to?
Yes, actually, as I said, I have 4 films in production. Actually, 2 are about our relation with the earth. I recorded, I already edited also a film in New Mexico in the United States, recorded in 2017, but it is still not finished. It's called We Are the Earth. And there's this other film next to The Way Out. It's called Children of the Earth. And it's actually a registration uh, of the Wake Up Earth retreat. So it's not going outside in daily life, but it's focusing on the retreat and what is happening in the retreat with the retreatants. And that film is called Children of the Earth. But the most recent film that I have been working on, and I did edit 3 months in May, June, and no, in April, May, and June. I did edit it myself. It's called Happy Teachers Change Africa. One of the projects of Plum Village is to bring mindfulness to schools, to the classroom. And I made earlier films in Toronto and Barcelona, but now I recorded in Uganda, in East Africa. So there's several films, and all of them you can look them up. Once they are ready, but you can look them up on evermind.media. So www.evermind.media. And you can, of course, the audience can contact me also personally. So whenever there are questions or things, through the website or through Facebook or through Instagram.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing, what's upcoming for your film projects. I look forward to We Are the Earth, Children of the Earth. I mean, I myself, I'm a geography teacher. I mean, these films, it sounds like films I can really play my geography classes. Okay, I have one last question for you. I mean, given that, this film festival is, we have named it Buddhist Film Festival. So there would be this, right, religious or spiritual element in this film festival. So this question is more maybe personal, not about the film, but about your spiritual practice, right? So it'll be about how did the teachings of Master Thich Nhat Hanh change your life?
It's quite changed me a bit, I think. I mean, that's my personal observation. Maybe other people could make a better judgment. But yeah, I got in contact with the teachings in 2011. Actually, 10 years ago, I lived for 6 years in Peru. I had a relation with a Peruvian woman. We lived together there, but we broke up. So I came back from Peru with at least with a painful heart, and I start to read a book I came across. Is not accidental, probably with one of the books of Thich Nhat Hanh, and I was creating a how you call it, a battlefield I was judging myself. So I was 50 at that time. At the moment, I'm 60 years old, but I was 50 years old, and I thought, what did I make of my life? In work-wise, in relation-wise, in love, and in creating a home and family, maybe. So I was criticizing myself. And then I read one of the books of Thai, and he said, don't make a battlefield. That's what we often do. We create battlefields in our mind. We judge ourselves, we judge other people. And I really started to see that, and I came back to myself. So that was the first big teaching. But yeah, it took me so much, it resonated so much with me and in me that I said, the whole world should know about this, because it's very deep and very simple. And I want to share it with the world. So personally, I learned a lot from the teachings. And that's your question. yeah, my practice. I have been over the last 8 years. I have been working full time on these kind of films. I created this company, Evermind Media, uh, uh, which is sharing the films online. But the Dharma is, I get the Dharma rain when I go to retreats, when I film the retreats, when I'm working at home. I read 50 books by Thich Nhat Hanh over the last 8 to 10 years. I see Dharma talk, so it is ingrained in my life. It's I cannot say that it didn't change. It probably changed a lot. Yeah, and in a beautiful way. I'm very grateful for. I always say Thich Nhat Hanh or Thai is the most humane human being that I have met in my life, that I encountered, and yeah, I'm very grateful for for that life fact, and for yeah, for the nourishment that I have received over the last 8 years. And yeah, once you know the way home to yourself, it's like if you know the way to the railway station, and you know there's a lot of people lost. I have only the wish to say, oh, there's the railway station. I know the way home. So all my films are invitations for people to come home, to really come close to themselves, to know themselves. And part of the knowing of yourself is to see that you are a community, but to know yourself and to be a happier and more free human being. So yeah, my filmmaking is kind of a service to the world, and an invitation to come back home, all of us. And it's very needed because we have a big climate challenge day by day in front of our eyes.
You know, watching a movie and going to the Evermind website, and even now speaking to you, I just feel this very calm, zen quality. And I guess it's really quite inspiring to see how your practice can, you know, even make me hear over Zoom and feel your understanding or compassion, and your deep knowledge of how the whole world is interconnected, and how Buddhist teachings can, you know, if observed, practice properly, can be the way out for all sentient beings like us, right? So well, we have come to the end of this dialogue session. Thank you so much, Wouter, for, you know, spending time with us and going through all these questions about the movies. I hope this session can interest other viewers to, you know, buy the tickets at the film festival to find out more about the way out. So with that, thank you so much, Wouter. Right.
Thank you very much for this conversation, and thank you all the audiences in Singapore, Malaysia, and maybe in the neighborhood. I hope you enjoy the festival, have a good time, and I would say open your mind.